Hi, my name is Stephanie Fowler, and I have the great privilege of serving as chair of Lewis and Clark's Board of Trustees. Over the next half hour, we'll be sharing with you some of the inspiring things happening at the college today and our exciting plans for the near future. We'll be hearing from alumni, faculty, students, and of course, our president, Vim Vivo. We're so happy you've decided to join us today. As we all know, only by working together can we achieve our goal of building an even stronger, even more compelling Lewis and Clark. But first, let's get started with a little music from Matisse's Latin Ensemble, led by our own professor, Freddie Vilchis.
Thank you, Stephanie and Matisse's Latin Ensemble, led by our own Freddie Vilchis, and welcome to Exploring for the Global Good. I'm Heidi Hu from the class of 1985.
And I'm Anthony Ruiz from the class of 2013.
We're so glad you could join us here today. We're here to share and celebrate the exciting news that Lewis and Clark College is launching its first comprehensive fundraising campaign in over 20 years.
That's right, Heidi. And of course, it's an ambitious goal, too, of $155 million. There's been a lot of exciting things happening on campus, on Palatine Hill. And of course, our goal today is to introduce you to the reasons why you should support our campaign. Lewis and Clark is such a special place for me. It's a place where I met some of my best friends. It's a place where I began to discover my place in the world. And at least for me, it's a place where I was the first in my family to graduate from college.
Well, what you said about best friends so resonates with me because Lewis and Clark has been such a place for lifelong friendships that are near and dear to my heart. I can still remember the first week at Lewis and Clark College when I looked around and saw the campus and knew that these were my people. I could hardly wait for my parents to leave so that I could meet my new lifelong friends and embark on lifelong learning. Lewis and Clark has fulfilled that promise in every sense.
I totally agree with that, especially with the parents leaving. I would join you in that. I just say that we all know that now more than ever, the world needs what Lewis and Clark does best.
Totally agree. So let's break down our ambitious fundraising goal and see why it's important to ensure that Lewis and Clark remains the best at what it does for now and into the future.
What the world needs most right now is...
The world needs passionate and articulate people.
We need protection for democracy.
We're living in an unprecedented time right now.
Climate change, pandemics, economic downturns.
The willingness to learn new things, to challenge themselves.
We need more
people to care about each other.
Be humble, stay present to this moment.
Making a difference in the world. It's about doing good.
Having or understanding a perspective that is different from your own.
People who are willing to take on hard problems.
Well, my name is Vim Vivo. I'm the president of Lewis and Clark. What the world needs most is what we do best. What I really want people to know is that what we teach is what the world needs. It's absolutely necessary if you're going to succeed as a liberal arts college that you need to have a strong philanthropic component. The three themes of the campaign are people, places, and programs. Obviously, any college is about the people, but specifically what we mean there is that we need scholarship support.
The connections made there are just incredible.
In my time here, I've been able to surround myself with creative thinking, hardworking, diligent people.
People you want to be around, people you want to help, and that's what makes this place so very special.
Everybody knows everyone else. It's such a small environment.
Where they are being asked a lot of the same questions, thought-provoking questions.
Or maybe it's even to just see how they can help others, because some people, that's what they do best, is help others.
While you can educate people in all kinds of circumstances, a great college should have buildings that are pretty darn good, that are functionally and aesthetically pleasing.
We are one of the few schools in the Northwest Conference that does not have a AstroTurf field. And so having a turf field would really give us an advantage in play. I would really love to see that new complex come in very soon, hopefully.
Students want the entire experience. That is so important to them. And I think for some students, they didn't realize how important it was until they didn't have it, right? They want to live in the residence halls. They want to eat in the dining hall. They want to talk to the professor after a class. They want to have connections and make friends. They want to interact with lots of different people. And they just want to have the feel of college, of being here, being away from their family and living autonomously. All of those things change when you are just taking classes remotely.
It is the place that helps to make Lewis and Clark so unique.
You know, we need to develop programs that give them the skills and the opportunities that they need.
Our law students are also volunteering in the community. Year after year, they donate more than 10,000 hours of volunteer time to various organizations.
One of the critical components of the Lewis and Clark Community Counseling Center is understanding the healthcare system leaves a lot of people behind. And so the Lewis and Clark Community Counseling Center serves its social justice mission, to help provide equitable care to individuals, families, and communities.
Many students are able to really engage with their professors on larger projects, tackling some of these large issues alongside, thought leaders and our professors.
All of these programs are what makes for a great college.
My time at Lewis and Clark has definitely shaped the entrepreneur that I am now, for sure.
This nation needs highly educated people who are ready to explore and to do it for the global good. And we need everybody's support to make that happen. I just can't stress enough how important philanthropy is for a college like Lewis and Clark to succeed.
What the world needs most
is what we do best.
What the world needs
What the world needs most is what we do best.
What the world needs most
is what we do best.
What we do best.
What the world needs most is what we do best.
That video really resonated with me as it reflects the core Lewis and Clark values of community engagement and giving back. I've really enjoyed giving back to Lewis and Clark College because Lewis and Clark did so much for me in shepherding me into a great career in money management. I have to say that as I give back to Lewis and Clark College, I'm realizing that an investment in Lewis and Clark College is the highest returning investment that I can think of.
No, absolutely. And I would agree. It's really about the people and the students. And you talk about these financial aid and scholarships. I was someone that benefited from that greatly. And without that, I wouldn't have been able to attend Lewis and Clark. And so, it absolutely is about the people. And it's also true that in addition to the people, the places and programs are at the heart of what makes Lewis and Clark special and I think worth investing in. And so let's take a moment to hear more about the people.
I love the people the most. Unlike other schools, the small cohort size really allows me to interact with a lot of different people with different backgrounds and get to know my professors a lot better. And I don't think that's something that is easily achieved at, for instance, a big university.
Lewis and Clark was wonderful and accepted me, and that's what brought me here. And what's kept me here, I think, is the fact that everybody knows everyone else. It's such a small environment. People really care about you. Everybody here wants you to be successful and wants their peers to be successful, so it's just not competitive and very collegial.
I applied for the Casey Business Law Scholarship and received it. I'll never forget, sorry, I can get choked up, but the impact, it was so profound. And then I got to meet Paul Casey and got to actually meet him on several occasions and spend time with him over the years before he passed. And I would always ask him why he was a part of this scholarship. And he would say he's investing in the future.
This is probably the best job on the planet because there's such a great team here at the law school. We've got great faculty, wonderful students, wonderful staff. It's a very rigorous academic environment, but our students compete with themselves to do well. They don't compete with each other. So everybody takes care of each other, everybody supports each other.
And seeing the impact that the Casey Business Law Scholarship had had on us, we immediately turned around and invested in the Imix Law Business Scholarship so that we could be investing in the future, investing in that next generation. And quite sincerely, we couldn't be more thankful to be in a position to do it.
Being able to interact with a community that is passionate and is able to articulate those passions and isn't afraid to share them in the classroom is something I think is very rare and so special and so beautiful, and like why I chose Lewis and Clark. I wanted that, small, intimate classroom setting so that I could have those intimate conversations with professors on what are the things that you're truly passionate about, what do you care about, why do you do what you do, and you can have that conversation with almost anybody on campus.
What I love most about Lewis and Clark, without a doubt, are the people. When I started here, I remember saying, I've never been at a place that has been so friendly and so welcoming.
We always tell our admitted students that we have a real sense of community, and it's true, and if you spend much time in our building, you can't help but notice it.
One of the things I really liked at Lewis and Clark College was the really small class sizes. I just really liked having access to the professors, and I'll never forget what a mentor Professor Matterstorff was to me. Once I decided to be an economics major, he was so patient and spent so much time with me talking about all the various different career options available to an economics major. And what was so great is pretty much every career option was available to an economics major.
Right, no, absolutely. And for me, it was Professor Curtis Johnson, right? And just having that small, intimate class size. I remember one time I was running late to class and he called me and said, Anthony, you live on campus, you need to come down to class, why aren't you here? And so you really were forced to participate and forced to engage, which I think really worked out for me.
Yeah, it's really wonderful because you start out feeling a little intimidated by the professors, but they're at such close quarters, you really just get to know them fast. I just want to say that Lewis and Clark faculty are incredibly talented and dedicated people. And I'd like to take a minute to formally introduce our band, Matisse's Latin Ensemble, who you heard at the opening of our show. It's such a treat to have them with us here today. Leading the ensemble is Freddie Vilchis, Associate Professor of Hispanic Studies. Freddie is a prime example of the depth of talent that lives here at Lewis and Clark. He also teaches at the music department as instructor of charango and Venezuelan cuatro. He's here with his ensemble, and they're going to play for us again. Hello, Freddie, and hello, Matisse's Latin Ensemble.
Hello, Heidi and Anthony, and thank you once again. We're very excited to be part of this campaign and very happy to be sharing our music with you guys. We're going to play something from Cuba, something called harina de maíz or corn flour.
Santiago de Cuba tiene por orgullo y tradición. Santiago de Cuba tiene por orgullo y tradición que toda su mercancía se detalla por pregón, que toda su mercancía se detalla por pregón. Óigame pregonar la vianda
Thank you, Freddie. I think that was fun, right, guys? You know, you make me wish I was more musically inclined. Maybe I would have been able to take a class with you when I was at Lewis and Clark. You know, but I think I'll just keep my singing right now for the shower. So, but either way, we'll be excited to hear from you again in just a little bit.
I actually did take piano lessons at Lewis and Clark and found out that I had no talent in music either. But I found out, and I think this is a core Lewis and Clark value, that you don't really have to be good at something to learn and appreciate it. And through that process, I've learned to appreciate those who can do something and play music, like Freddie. Thank you, Freddie.
Right. And you know, Lewis and Clark obviously has some remarkable people, but we also have some pretty great places as well. And so one of my favorite places at Lewis and Clark was at the Rose Garden, where even if you went there late at night, you might be able to see a deer or something, maybe picking at the roses.
Well, there was that. I was more probably a daytime person, but I do recall loving going to the reflecting pool during the day and never tiring of that iconic view of Mount Hood. I mean, to me, that just epitomizes Lewis and Clark. And years later, when I see Mount Hood from the garden, it arouses the same feelings.
No, I agree completely. And there's nothing like catching Lewis and Clark at the reflecting pool on a sunny day. So I agree absolutely with that. And so with that, let's take a minute to learn more about another great place on campus.
Why do we need to invest in our places? It's a great question. And we want to make sure that students have enough spaces and places to do the things that they need to do. Ask any student. One of the things that has come out of this remote learning is that the student experience is so important to students. They want the whole thing, right? They don't want to just take a class online. A place and places are also important because that's where you do programs, that's where you have your classes, that's where you do things. And so you commit space to things because you're saying this is where you get to do your education. This building that we're in right now, Templeton, although people are somewhat nostalgic, we're going to completely renovate this facility in ways that will still hold the iconic beauty and architecture that everyone loves and has come to appreciate, but the inside, the kind of the guts of this building is going to be much more reflective of what a 21st century student really needs, wants, and expects. And so you need to keep investing in the places that students get to have their education. You need to keep sending the message that what they're doing here and why they're here is important. So much so that we're willing to invest when we have limited resources in those particular places. Prospective students coming are going to see that wow factor and say, hey, I could see myself here. I can see myself doing stuff here. And students that are already here are going to be like, I feel like I belong. I should be here. We want this place to be stickier for our students, right? That they feel that I should stick here because I know I have a place here.
I don't know about you, but I personally can't wait for the change that this Templeton renovation is going to make to this campus. We know it's exciting and very overdue.
I agree. The campus entrance will be transformed, and I think there will be more of a sense of arrival. And as Robin Holmes Sullivan said, students need good places to make connections and to have a great student experience. We want Lewis and Clark to be stickier and a place where students want to stay. But there is still one more important piece that makes Lewis and Clark attractive to our students, and that's our programs. Let's take a look at our programs.
At the graduate school, we have many different professional programs. Even within my department, we have professional counselors, we have counselors that are specializing in addiction, and we have marriage and family therapists. Quality supervision is critical to produce students and eventually counselors and family therapists that can competently do the job. And so the Community Counseling Center is a critical force to that, to providing quality supervision and education for students. for them to be able to practice skills in a real world context and receive feedback and enhance those skills.
What it offers our Lewis and Clark undergraduates is the ability not only to engage in the classroom-based experiences, but also to collaborate with us, the faculty, in our research labs, including opportunities to be in internship settings and research labs in the local community.
I'm also becoming a part of the Bates Center and really appreciating the Lunch with the Leader opportunities that they have. They're just absolutely wonderful. The connections made there are just incredible. I'm still speaking with some of the people that I've met, and they've truly opened opportunities for me to be a success.
So our students are able to serve communities that otherwise wouldn't be able to receive services. The students also gain the experience of helping provide services and see the real-time effect that that has on people who need their help, who need what they have to provide. And by that, seeing communities improved by their interactions.
So those experiences together really round out such a full experience for our students. And not surprisingly, our students go on to success in graduate programs and careers.
Justin Henderson and the Graduate School's Community Counseling Clinic is doing impressive and truly meaningful work.
And the campaign's not just about preserving our existing programs, but about establishing new and relevant programs that will keep Lewis and Clark competitive, like our new Center for Community and Global Health, and our new minors in data science and in entrepreneurial leadership and innovation.
One of LC's popular programs is Fine Arts, which has been attracting an average of 101 students every year over the last 5 years in music, art, and theater. And speaking of fine arts, this seems like a good time now than ever to enjoy hearing for one last time from Matisse's Latin Ensemble. Freddie, take it away.
Thank you so much. We'd like to play one more song. This is an original by the band, something called Camino Secreto.
Thank you, Freddie. There's one person we haven't heard from yet about all of this, what we've been talking about today, and it's Lewis and Clark's president, Wim Wiewel, who's here with us today. Hello, President Wiewel.
Thank you, Heidi and Anthony, and thank you everyone for joining us today. You know, this moment has been a long time in coming. When I came in 2017, I announced that we would start a campaign. And I'm so excited now to go public with a campaign for $155 million, $100 million of which we have already raised. Yes, $100 million. I'm so grateful because that is definitely something worth celebrating. And I know that together we will finish. Now, we're doing well at the college already in spite of this crazy year we've had with COVID. College of Art and Sciences will see the biggest freshman class ever in the history of the college. The law school exceeded its goal for 1Ls, and the graduate school with exciting new programs is doing very well also. But you know what? Great schools can't thrive without philanthropy. Tuition alone will never be enough. Donors have already been very generous and letting us expand scholarships, new programs in entrepreneurship and in health, and the renovation of Templeton, which we're all starting this academic year. Now, we are 3 schools based on the liberal arts, but it's not the old liberal arts anymore. Our goal is not just to make students experts in a field, but to make them graduates who can do critical and creative thinking, who have skills relevant to work, but who also have experiences that are about beauty and wonder, who can engage constructively with power and cultural differences across time and space. Graduates who are environmental stewards and global citizens, who are ready as lawyers, scientists, teachers, counselors, or artists to pursue personal success, but also address critical community needs every day. Our nation needs highly educated people who are ready to explore for the global good. We truly believe that what the world needs now is what we do best. And this is where you come in. You've already heard about the critical areas for which we need support. People, places, programs, scholarships, building renovations, faculty and programs in all 3 of our schools. We ask that you will challenge yourself and challenge others so future generations can experience and benefit as you have. You may have heard me tell this story in the past, that a wise man was asked, what's the best time to plant a tree? The answer is 20 years ago. So the follow-up question, of course, is, well, what's the second best time to plant a tree? And the answer is now. At Lewis and Clark, we've been preparing the ground and digging the hole for 20 years. Now, today, we're planting that tree, and together, we're going to make it bear fruit. Exploring for the global good, the campaign for Lewis and Clark. $155 million is in sight and achievable with your support. Thank you, and go Pios.